1972, when a 13-year-old Tanya Tucker first shook up the music world with her classic Delta Dawn. Now, after a roller coaster career that has spanned 4 decades, there is little doubt that Tanya has seen it all in country music. After sitting down with Tanya last month, right before she performed for her good friend George Jones's 75th birthday, it was obvious many of her fondest memories are centered around the Opry. This is a woman who can and will tell you what it was like back in the day with some of her amazing stories.
Every time we come and play the Opry, whether it's for something special like this or just another night, another Friday or Saturday night at the Opry, every night is special at the Opry because you get to see some of your friends you haven't seen for a long time. I mean, as much as people think we all hang out together all the time, we're usually going in separate ways. We're always on the road touring and throughout the year, and it's really hard to find a place to kind of meet and see each other. So it was great tonight because we had so many younger acts that have come into country music that are really great. Dirk Bentley and Joe Nichols, and of course Joe Diffie. He's been around a little while, but he's still a newcomer to me. and then of course you get to mix with little Jimmy Dickens and people like that. So it's a real experience, and I love bringing my kids every time I come here because I think that they will have some great memories from the Grand Ole Opry. The first time I came to the Opry, I was 9 years old, and my dad brought me all the way from Wilcox, Arizona, to try to get me started in this business. And the whole time we were at the studio making the demo tape, all I could think about was, I want to go to the Grand Ole Opry, Grand Ole Opry. and finally he just grabbed me up and said, oh, you're going to the Grand Ole Opry, all right. And he said, of course, he had about 20 bucks when we left there. But I remember sitting back in the back and with the fans and stuff and watching Roy Acuff. And my dad looked at me and he said, now, don't you wish you stand up there singing instead of sitting down here watching it? And I think that's the day I made a decision that I wanted to be up there.
Do you remember the first time you took the stage?
Absolutely. The first time I worked on the Opry, I was on Ernest Tubbs' portion of the show. A few years before that, in Safford, Arizona, or Wilcox, Arizona, he had come to the VFW hall, and my brother went on the bus and asked him if I could sing, and he graciously let me sing, and I sang Sweet Thing with him. Of course, he said, do you do it in the same key Loretta does it in? And I wasn't about to say no. It was about 2 keys too high, but I got it done. And you know, when I pulled on his jacket and I said, Mr. Tubb, I'm Tanya Tucker. He said, Wilcox, Arizona, 1967. Wow. You know, he knew exactly. He knew me exactly where he'd seen me before. So it was a real special night for me to be on Ernest Tubbs' portion of the show, of all people, you know. And then, of course, I played the last Friday night at the Opry, the Ryman. I went to just hang out with a girlfriend of mine. We went and we were just hanging out, and Jerry Clower, he picked me up and took me up out on the stage and said, don't y'all think Tanya Tucker needs to sing a song? And of course the crowd went wild, and Jan Howard, later on I realized that Jan Howard had given up her last spot on the Opry so that I could perform that night. So I've always been so thankful for her for that. You know, it was really a special night.
What a night to remember.
Yeah, the Ryman's always going to be a real special place. And they moved it to the new Opry here, and it's a special place too. It's bigger, and it can handle a lot more people, and that's what we want, more fans in country music. That's what we want.
Well, tonight celebrating George Jones, of course, 75th birthday, a dear friend to you.
Yes.
You know, you think back to those earlier days, though. It seems less wild, maybe? Less crazy?
Oh, I definitely think it's less wild. It's a little more
reserved.
Yeah, reserved. That's the word. A lot more reserved than it used to be. You know, there were some crazy times back in the day, you know, you've heard the stories about Hank Williams kind of stumbling out of Tootsie's and stumbling up the steps to the old Ryman and doing his portion of the show. But it is much more of a business now. That's the only bad part that I think about it is that nobody's just, you know, everybody's going drinking iced tea and eating cornbread like, you know, all my rowdy friends will settle down. and that's the way it is. You know, it's no truer words ever spoken, no truer song ever sung than that.
So when you play the Opry and you think you have one set and then you come back for the second set, a little bit different in between those sets now.
Absolutely. Now there's not near as much whiskey going on as it used to be.
You know, you talk about George, his 75th birthday. What do you get for a guy who has everything?
Well, I actually had a friend of mine. Her name is Jerry Hart. She makes the most incredible guitar straps. And so she's out of St. Louis. And so I emailed her and asked her if she could make something really special for George Jones' 75th birthday. And me and the kids wanted to give him something. And so she made a spectacular guitar strap with possums on it And of course, he loves the dollar sign. So we had that. We had the possum and then my logo down in the bottom. But he loved it. He thought it was wonderful. So I said, I hope he wears it many, many, many more years.
Man, what a blast. Miss Tanya Tucker. And good news, by the way, for fans. I also learned that she's working on a new album. Yeah, so we'll keep our fingers crossed, and as soon as we get word, we'll pass it along to you. Right now, some of her music.